Hello everyone, it's Stella.
And Tarrant here from Meeple University. Today we'll be teaching you how to play the Scarface 1920 Bloody Business expansion, as well as two new add-on gangs, the Golden Oaks and Red Dragon Tong. All of these are available as part of Red Zen Games' current crowdfunding campaign. If you are interested in learning how to play the base game of Scarface 1920, we also have a video for that, which is linked in the description below.
We also have the rules for solo game. Without further ado, let's get to the game.
Bloody Business, the expansion to Scarface 1920, introduces all new ways and new opportunities for your gang to take control of the city. With no fewer than 9 new mechanisms to play, the choice has never been so broad. So let's go straight into the changes of setup. Firstly, lay the new Bloody Business extension board to the left of the main board. We'll run through the new features from top to bottom. The G-Men represent even more dangerous efforts by the feds. If you thought Elliot Ness was bad, just wait till you meet Melvin Purvis. To set this up, shuffle all of the G-Men cards, deal one face up into this slot and return the rest to the box. Then add the Melvin Purvis mini to step 11 of the crime track. The candidates represent 2 people who'll be running for Chicago mayor and offering some endgame scoring objectives. Shuffle up the double-sided candidates deck and then place one on the blue Democrat side, one on the red Republican side, and return the rest to the box. Keep your supply of double-sided vote tokens nearby. This track represents the business economy, and after placing starting businesses, put the rest on this track from bottom to top instead of placing them in a general supply. The most wanted track places some extra benefits on the ne'er-do-wells you associate with. Shuffle up all of the most wanted tokens and then place one face up into each of these 6 boxes. Keep the rest in supply piles. Shuffle up the Street Gangs deck and place it here. You'll be using these through the game to do some of your more violent dirty work. At the bottom left of the board is the Hospital, a new natural consequence of all of this extra violence. There's no extra setup on this space, but each gang now has a new doctor card who goes with the right-hand cards as part of setup. Nearby, keep a supply of bullets, which you'll use to take the new Extortion action. On the main board in the district where you begin, you'll place your home district marker and you'll place your new Angry Boss mini. These will depict your gun-toting mob boss in action. Finally, Bloody Business comes with new raids, newspapers, associates and jobs, which you'll shuffle into their decks. You're now ready to play. Now, one by one, we'll take you through the rules of the 9 new additions to the game of Scarface 1920, starting with the home district marker. This is placed into your starting district during setup and will always remain there throughout the game. It counts as a permanent presence for you in that district, meaning that even if you lose all other components from that area, you can still bring new components into that district. It has no other function and plays no role in seizing or defending neighbourhoods. The second new feature is your Angry Boss, who begins the game in your home district. Your Angry Boss behaves like any other thug with one key exception. And that is when you use the Angry Boss to complete an order, whether that be sending it to one of the destinations or using it to move or seize, you may add your boss's current muscle and influence to the muscle and influence in your plan this turn. This means you're going to be able to do your high muscle or high influence orders more frequently, rather than having to wait until you specifically get the boss card from your deck. The business track introduces a new element of economics to the game, as the value you'll gain from these businesses will vary depending on how many are on the board. Anytime you place a new business on the board, take it from the top of its column and add it to the neighbourhood. and any time a business is removed, return it to the next empty space in its column. When you use this expansion, ignore any text from the original game which states to gain $3 for each of your business markers, such as at the end of the game or during a reorganization turn. Instead, you'll gain money based on what's printed in the square above the last remaining type of that business in its column. This gives a different sort of economy for each of the 4 business types. Casinos and nightclubs are worth more money the fewer of them they are. Look how much money you can gain if you're the first to get a nightclub on the board. But the more there are, the less money each will be worth. Brothels are the opposite. More brothels means more profit. While each speakeasy gets more valuable until there's 6 on the board, and less valuable thereafter. The Most Wanted track introduces some new tactics to the hiring of associates. At the start of the game, there'll be one of these bonus markers on each of the 6 spaces, which represent the 6 icons you can get on associates. The first time a player hires an associate, the player takes the token from the matching crime type and gains that reward immediately. If the associate has multiple crime icons, choose only one to take. You'll now go to the Most Wanted supply and add another Most Wanted token face up to each of the 5 crime types which was not chosen. The second time an associate is hired, 5 of the crime types will have 2 benefits instead of 1. Then once again you'll add a new token to the other 5 crime types. As these stacks grow higher, certain associates will become highly incentivized in the market. Once claimed, these rewards are discarded face up. And once the draw decks are empty, shuffle the discards to form a new draw pile. In the base game, any time a thug was hit, it is returned to your safe houses, and if one of your thugs is killed, it is returned to your slums. These rules change with the new hospital element of the expansion. Any of your regular thugs, if killed, will still return to your slums, but a thug who is hit, instead of going to the safe houses, is moved to the hospital. Your angry boss moves to the hospital if either hit or killed. You can't get these thugs back with the recruit action like you could in the base game. Instead, you need to use the new healing effect. Healing is a new action you can take as part of step 3 of a reorganization turn, and it's available on your doctor and on some other new cards. Anytime you heal, determine your healing value by counting up your total number of gang upgrades, here it's 5, and comparing it with this table. 5 gang upgrades would mean a healing value of 3. You can now take that many thugs from your hospital and distribute them either to your headquarters or directly into your home district. This means it's a different path to get your thugs back after they've been hit, but it can be a little bit quicker to get them back onto the map. The new G-Men element of the game increases the risk of getting on the wrong side of the feds. In the base game, the bottom of the crime track was represented by Elliot Ness, who was an effective by-the-book federal agent during the Prohibition era. The G-Men introduces Melvin Purvis. He was not by the book. He was a dangerous man to anyone in the crime business. Purvis begins on step 11, and during the extra phase, when Ness's figure is moved up 1 space, Purvis's is moved down. Unlike the restriction created by the Elliot Ness figure, players' crime markers can move into or above the Melvin Purvis marker. Anytime a raid is triggered to be resolved, before drawing and resolving the raid card, any player or players whose crime marker is above Melvin Purvis will suffer the G-Men effect. This is suffered once for each step that player is above the Purvis figure. So this card's effect is to spend 1 alcohol or gun, and so the blue player would need to spend 2, and the brown player would need to spend 1. Green is safe. This can get even worse if you trigger the raid by going up to or above 11. Suppose Blue took an action which would now result in an increase of 3 crime. Blue would go up to 11, but for the purposes of resolving the G-Men effect, would be considered to be at 13, thereby having to spend 5 of these resources. This particular card is about as nice as the G-Men get, as some of their effects can be hitting your thugs, putting your thugs in prison, discarding cards from your hand or deck, or some very hefty bribes. The G-Men card also makes the police cards in the game more powerful. Refer to the extra police effect box to understand how this will play. This could result in larger bribes, moving your thugs around when the police come in, the closing down of businesses, and more. There will be a single G-Men card which will be in effect for the whole game. Bloody Business introduces an election with 2 candidates to choose from. At the bottom of each of the candidate cards is shown an end-of-game scoring objective. And whichever candidate wins the vote will determine what bonus scoring there will be for all players. You'll aim to influence the election by gaining double-sided vote tokens across the course of the game. You gain 1 free vote every time you send a thug to the authorities, and you can gain votes from some wanted posters and some other card skills. Players hold all their votes secretly behind their screens with their money, and when the end of the game occurs, all players now secretly choose which of the 2 candidates they're going to vote for before all reveal simultaneously. Then in final scoring, deal out extra money in accordance with the winning candidate's objective. If the vote is tied, determine the winning candidate by a coin toss. The next new feature is Extortion, and at the end of one of your action turns, if you have fewer than 2 cards in your plan when you discard them, you will gain some bullets into your supply, which you'll be able to use to take extortion actions. If you discard only 1 card from your plan, you gain 1 bullet, and if you discard no cards, you would gain 2. 2 or more cards in your plan when you discard means you don't get any bullets. As part of the carry out action step of an action turn, you can now also, in any order, spend bullet tokens to take extortion actions. There are 6 different extortions. First, you can exchange 1 bullet to remove 1 business from a neighbourhood. Second, you can spend 1 bullet to force 1 type of business to convert into another type of business. Neither of these extortions is allowed to touch a nightclub, only the 3 basic sort of businesses apply. You can spend 1 bullet as part of completing a job to ignore 1 of the requirements. You can only do this once per job. You can extort the doctors at the hospital. Ignore the healing value table and simply heal 1 thug per bullet. You could choose to try to extort money out of the districts, and this is a potential way of using your thug area control to gain a lot of money. You are able to extort in any district where you have at least 1 thug and at least as many thugs as each other player present. As it's laid out right now, Brown could extort in 6 out of the 7 districts, only the central is not available. Now, up to that maximum number of districts, spend 1 bullet per district you want to extort and gain the appropriate money, which is $2 for 1 district, $6 for 2, $12 for 3, $21 for 4, $36 for 5, $61 for 6, and an even $100 if you extort the whole board at once. Very hard, but very lucrative. The 6th and final extortion is to bring street gangs into your fold. For each bullet spent, draw 1 street gang card and hold it face down. You can hold as many street gangs as your current hand size, although it is completely separate to your hand. If you draw above your limit, discard immediately down. You may play any number of street gangs for their once-off effects as part of the carry-out actions phase of an action turn. Each street gang has 2 effects, and you may resolve them in either order. The first is to hit one thug in one of two specific districts on the board. The second is to gain one of the two benefits down the bottom of the card of your choice. In most cases, this will be an immediate once-off effect, unless you have a duration card, in which case the effect remains active until the start of your next turn. Once you've finished resolving a street gang card, return it to the bottom of its deck. We'll now take you through the two new gangs, the Golden Oaks and Red Dragons Tong. These are playable either with the base game or with the Bloody Business expansion. Unlike the base game's gangs, each of whom specialises in one of the core mechanics, each of these gangs comes with its own special rules and mechanics which we'll need to learn. The Golden Oaks is a Canadian gang and they hold a monopoly on one product of their own, hard liquor. The gang is also run by two bosses instead of one. To this end, you'll have two boss cards in your starter deck instead of one, and two separate boss figures and boss upgrade tracks, one specialising in muscle and the other in influence. Anytime you upgrade your gang, you choose which track you're going to go up on. Unlike the other gang's bosses, your boss cards only allow you to use 2 skills each, rather than 3. In setup, you must begin in the North Side District, and the neighbourhood present must be one of these ones, 3 alcohol and no guns for $14. If playing with Bloody Business, you have only a single angry boss thug which depicts both of your bosses. Your gang specialises in alcohol, not guns, so during setup you will not take a gun supplier. Instead, you'll have just an alcohol supplier and your own special liquor board. Take 7 liquor tokens and then place them at the top of this board. Leave the rest in the general supply for now. Playing as the Golden Oaks, you'll need to make best use of your special liquor mechanism, and use this to overcome 2 key disadvantages you have compared with the base gangs. The first is that you do not have a dealer's supply upgrade. This is replaced with your liquor supply upgrade, and it means you won't be able to increase the supply from the basic dealers as quickly as other players. The second is that on your reorganisation turn, you skip step 1. You do not get to make these automatic sales into your neighbourhoods. That makes it a lot slower and tougher for you to sell in the usual way. You have one unique order available to you. You can send a thug from your headquarters to your liquor board, then take up to as many liquor tokens from that board as the muscle in your plan, and then distribute them however you want to the districts on the board, whether you have presence there or not. Any number of thugs may occupy the space. You'll now passively benefit from any sale made by any player, including you, in a district containing liquor. When a sale is made in one of these districts, you may sell any amount of liquor from the district. You may place at most one of those sold liquors onto the next uncovered numerical space on your liquor board, and then return all of the rest to the top of the board. The sale price for each liquor sold is based on the highest covered space on your liquor board, so it starts at $3 and goes up to as high as $7. As you cover these spaces, in addition to improving your price, it's also going to unlock other bonuses for your gang. However, your liquor supply is finite, and the more you add to this track, the less you'll have to circulate between your liquor board and the map. To overcome this, you have your own gang upgrade, the liquor supply, and note that the numbers here are incorrect. It should read 755. You begin the game with 7 liquor, and when you first make this upgrade, you'll take another 5 liquor from the general supply and add them to your board. The same thing happens the second time you make this upgrade. Finally, as part of the retrieve thug step of a reorganisation turn, all thugs from the liquor board go back to your headquarters. The other new gang is Red Dragons Tong, which also runs a product of its own, opium. In setup, instead of an alcohol supplier, you'll have an opium dealer. On the main board, place the special Chinatown neighbourhood into the Southside district. And then you must choose this as your starting district. Then place one opium den into that district and one opium on top. You have 7 opium den tokens and 7 opium den cards, and you'll flip the first one face up. Red Dragons Tong gains its benefits by spreading opium dens throughout Chicago and then gaining opium and using it on resolving skills. Opium isn't sold like the other contraband. Its primary purpose is to resolve the special skills available to your gang. When you place an opium den, primarily from your lieutenant's skills, take the next one from your stack and add it to a district which does not have an opium den and is adjacent to at least one which does. Then flip the next numbered opium den card from your deck face up. If the card has the hat icon, then take one of your right-hand cards as you normally would if you uncovered it on the boss track. Your boss track has none of these icons. When you send a thug to your opium dealer as part of Get Supply from Deal's order, gain 2 opium plus more if you've upgraded your opium supply. This replaces the nightclub's track on your board. You can never build a nightclub, although you can take one over by seizing a neighbourhood. There's no limit to the number of thugs you can send to your opium dealer. This dealer will not hold opium for you. It must be stored in your dens at a maximum of 3 opium per den. Once you've gained an opium den card from your deck, you may resolve its effect on any one of your carry out actions phases during an action turn. These involve spending some amount of opium and then flipping the card face down. On each of your reorganisation turns, you may flip all of these cards face up again, making them available for use once more. And that's how to play the Scarface 1920 Bloody Business expansion and new gangs. We hope you enjoyed this video, and do note we're using a prototype copy of the game, so the rules and components may not be final. And do check out the project page for the game. We'll put a link to that in the description below.
Thank you so much for watching. Everything you do will help us. Every single view, every time you like our videos, our Instagram, every single comment, and let us know that you're there. And make sure you are doing something fun today. See you next time.